Live Laugh Larceny discusses true petty crimes that may be disturbing to some.
Or could be easy listening to all you psychopaths out there.
All stories are based on actual events, but details may vary.
Listener discretion is not advised.
Live.
Laugh.
Larceny. Since the dawn of time, Earth has turned to two people for the pettiest crimes known to man, woman, or non-binary person. A morally dubious dream team made up of one cackling woman and one insensitive male who sick shames that woman. A shoehorned disclaimer for any new listeners, explaining that those were references from older episodes, begging them not to give a knee-jerk 1-star rating. Together, these amateur writers with subpar Google skills have scoured the internet and brought drama to the seemingly unexceptional, teaching us all that no matter the size of the crime, we are all doomed in the end. And today, that doomed crew gathers, unified in crime, to celebrate their 100th episode. So keep your hunger in check, don't fight any Sesame Street characters, and keep your bodily fluids to yourself, because this is war. And this is Trevin.
And I'm Amanda, and wow, did not see that intro coming.
I came up with it earlier in today.
Oh my God, and it is episode 100. So we had to do something.
Yeah.
I guess.
That's all the specialness you get.
Well, before we jump into our dreadful dilemmas, wow, Trevin, episode 100. Can you even believe this?
I cannot believe it at all. 100. We said this once a long time ago about, if you'd have told me, hey, in the span of a year, you have to write 52 stories, I would have been like, no way.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody would have told me, hey, in the span of almost 2 years, you're going to do 100 episodes of something and write over 100 stories.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. And honestly, it's been quite an awesome ride. I know there's been really big hills lately, but I feel like you and I, in the end of however this show continues to grow, we are always going to be just us sitting here talking to each other.
It's true.
And that's what makes it work.
Yeah, that's one thing that I love having you as a partner for, is because you and I are both so big on emotional honesty.
Yeah.
To where we're never going to put, like, this is our forward-facing persona.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we're just going to be honest. If I'm feeling sad today, I guess we'll just make an episode about it and talk about it. You know?
I know. It seeps in no matter what we think or want. But episode 100, wow, wow, wow. So cheers and congrats to us all.
Woohoo.
So, Trevin, do you have a dreadful dilemma this week?
I have a dreadful dilemma. And this episode is actually coming out the day after my birthday.
Yes. Okay.
So dreadful as it may be, I am older. Inching closer to the end. Yeah, I've noticed that I'm getting older. Ever since we went to Galveston, when we were packing, Emily thought, which was a great idea. I love efficiency, but Emily got me one of those pill things where you put eat pills for Monday, for Tuesday, for Wednesday.
Oh my God, we've reached this point?
Yeah. And so I did that just for the vacation, but I've done it every week ever since.
I've thought about getting myself one of those too, Trevin. You're not alone.
It's so efficient.
Is it?
Oh, it is. I packed my week on Sunday night and I'm ready to go.
And how old are you turning again?
33.
That's not even that old at all, but I'm with you. I was thinking about getting one myself.
When we were in Galveston, I bought some sort of seltzer or something to take over to your guys' beach house. And we went to the Galveston Walmart, and when we were checking out, we had to have somebody come over and get our ID so I could buy the seltzers.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and looked at the little thing that said, is this person over 40? And he just looked at me and said, close enough, and hit yes. And so I was like, oh my God, I've already got the pills for this trip. Now I'm being told I'm close enough to 40. And then just to bring up one more thing to show how I feel like I've aged.
Okay.
I've been nursing an injury for the last couple weeks. I've been suffering in silence. I haven't told anybody about it.
What is it?
But before bed, a couple weeks ago, I sneezed. And I tried to stifle the sneeze a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the pressure of the sneeze caught in my neck. And I felt like one of those frogs, like when like, and has a bubble in their throat. And I like damaged something in my neck a little bit.
Oh my God.
So whenever I do certain cartoony voices or talk baby talk to my kitties, it gives me a little bit of a sore throat.
That's awful.
It's the worst thing.
You old ass man.
I don't think that really has to do with my age because I've always been told don't stifle sneezes. It can hurt you in different ways.
Wow.
But I'm choosing to blame the fact that I'm older, that I couldn't handle that stifled sneeze.
You know what, Trevin? You're not old because I am only, 1 year behind you?
Yeah.
And my husband is younger than both of us and is turning 30 this year.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes me feel old too. So I'm with you, but you're not old. You're going to be just fine, okay?
I will make it.
And happy freaking birthday, everyone. If you haven't already on social media, go wish this man a happy birthday.
Yes, thank you. I forgot to even say something about that. But yeah, how cool is it that our 100th episode is also my birthday?
Your birthday. Oh, that's amazing. Well, Trevin, I also have a dreadful dilemma this week.
Uh-oh.
Back in January, I thought that it would just be so much fun, like a nice family bonding project to work on. And it was something I kind of wanted to do anyway. And so I had my husband, Jordan, myself, and our oldest daughter make vision boards for our year.
Oh, okay.
We didn't have any magazines or anything lying around to like make a collage styled vision board. So basically, I asked different questions to both Jordan and Lila, and then I Googled some images and they picked out an image and I'd print them. And then I typed out what words they wanted for their year. There was a lot of thought put into these, right? Printed it all out, cut them all out. We colored on them, and then I hung them up downstairs for us to look at, because that's kind of one of the things about manifesting and vision boards is you're supposed to put it somewhere where you can see it often to help make your dreams come true, right? So here they are hanging up on the wall. And Trevin, tell me why my vision board is the only one that keeps falling off of the wall.
Yeah, you don't want to think of that in a metaphorical kind of way.
I know. I have all my dreams up on this board.
Your dreams come crashing down.
I just knocked on my head 3 times. So I'm choosing to stay positive. I'm choosing to say, you know what? Maybe my dreams are just going to take a little bit more effort and work than Jordan and Lila's maybe. And I need to be taught the lesson that I need to go over there and hang it back up each and every day and stare at it.
Deep.
I'm acting like I've thought this through. I literally made that up. But it sounds right.
Mm-hmm.
It feels right. So I don't know.
Yeah, if you choose to really see the metaphor all the way through.
Yeah, then it works.
You got to put in the work to keep those dreams up.
Yeah, and like for example, Lila's just has pretty unicorns on it and stuff like that. Like,
I don't think she's going to get that.
yeah. Exactly. Our boards are a little different. They hold a little more weight.
Yeah. Ooh.
We solved the mystery.
Yeah, yours is a lot more heavy. Your dreams are heavy.
They hold so much more weight. They're weighing down and falling off the wall. Nailed it. But today, for our 100th episode, we are going to be doing a little bit of
2 truths and a lie.
I almost said trivia.
I've got 3 wires. Which one do I cut?
I'll give you 2 truths and a lie.
But wait, we don't have time for this.
And I am going first today. So, Trevin, we are going to be learning about 2 truths and a lie regarding sleeping.
Ooh.
Something that, if I'm going to be honest, I recently haven't been giving myself enough of, but luckily last night I actually got some good sleep.
I've been using melatonin more, and I actually have had a much better relationship with it.
Ooh, very good. So, let me give you the 3 statements. Statement number 1, you might make less melatonin if you've had a concussion. Statement 2, the record for the longest period without sleep is 11 days. And statement 3, only 5% of people dream entirely in black and white.
This is a hard one. What was the first one again?
The first one was, you might make less melatonin if you've had a concussion.
I'll go with that one.
You think that's the lie?
Yeah.
And you're wrong.
Shit.
Have you had a concussion ever?
No, but my brother's had like 400.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, how's his melatonin looking?
I don't know. I don't think he sleeps well.
You need to ask him because no, that is apparently a true fact, which I'm going to be honest, I didn't really look into researching that anymore. I just made sure that it was indeed a thing that has been determined by studies. I don't really know why.
It makes total sense.
But actually, the lie is statement number 3. I said only 5% of people dream entirely in black and white, and the truth is actually 12% of people dream entirely in black and white. I did not think it was going to be that high. When I was researching this, I guess that studies show that actually it's more common in older people to dream in black and white than younger people too.
Do you think it's because they grew up watching black and white television?
They did mention that in the article that I was looking at. They said studies were done. Maybe it's because TV was in black and white, but again, though, everything we see just on our daily lives is in color. So I don't know, but I found that to be really fascinating. Also, statement number 2, the record for the longest period someone has gone without sleep is 11 days. And to explain this a little further, the record was set by a Californian student named Randy Gardner in 1964. I have a feeling maybe people don't want to go and challenge this record.
Right.
Especially because apparently when this Randy guy did it, he experienced extreme sleep deprivation, and apparently other people have died for staying awake for too long as well.
Yeah, I think I've heard about stuff like that. But yeah, to do that premeditated is nuts.
Yeah,
I wouldn't choose to try to beat that.
Maybe after 1964, they were just like, we're good. That's kind of a long time for no one to try and challenge that, huh?
I can't even imagine how long 11 days of no sleep would even feel like. There's all those extra hours, you know, like the extra 8 or so hours in the middle of the night you got to keep up. What keeps you awake for that long?
I know. I'd
have to do some important stuff.
I know. Totally miserable. But yay. Yay for sleep, right?
Yay for sleep. Damn. Yeah, no thanks on that. So I have a 2 truths and a lie for you.
Okay.
It's still a 2 truths and a lie, but it's kind of different. I'm going to do 2 truths and a lie about Alfred Hitchcock.
Okay.
Because I recently learned a little bit more about him. But I'm not just going to give you 2 truths and a lie about Alfred Hitchcock. See, Alfred Hitchcock was a really big prankster.
Oh, God. We know how we feel about those.
Yes. I don't think you'd like to be friends with this guy. So I'm going to give you just 3 pranks, and you're going to tell me which he didn't do.
Okay.
So it's still technically 2 truths and a lie, but it's 2 pranks are real, 1 prank is not real.
Okay.
So, prank number 1. He made a life-size replica of an actress's corpse and invited her daughter in to see it without warning. Prank number 2. He once waited for an actor who was afraid of fire to go into a phone booth, where he locked her in, pumped it with smoke, and then shouted that there was a fire. Or prank number 3. He bet a prop worker that he couldn't stay the night handcuffed to a horror movie set. He left him a bottle of bourbon to help him sleep, but laced it with laxatives.
I'm going to go with statement 3 being the lie.
Okay. And that is not a lie.
What? Why?
I do not know. I think he gave him some money and dared him to do it and said, hey, handcuff yourself to this camera in this movie set and I'll give you a bottle of bourbon. It'll help put you right to sleep. And from what I had heard, people had showed up to the set the next day and he was just surrounded by shit and crying because he drank the laxative and just had to poop everywhere.
Oh my God. How is this a prank?
Hitchcock seemed like a real dick.
A sick and twisted prank, I guess.
Yeah, he did a lot of really kind of weird things.
Okay.
So the lie is he did not make a life-size replica of an actress's corpse and invite the daughter to see it.
Oh.
He did, however, make a very realistic looking voodoo doll of the actress and mail it to her home where the daughter did get it. So kind of similar, but not the same thing.
Okay.
And I guess it really scared the kid.
Yeah.
And he did once wait for an actress to go in a phone booth, lock her in, pump it full of smoke, and make her believe that the whole building or whatever had caught on fire.
Wow. I was picturing that one being true, but it's still bizarre. Why?
He's a very weird guy.
Like, does he like to see people in fear or in shame?
Well, like when he made his movies, he purposely put women into very, very helpless and scary situations. But that wasn't for recording. Like he didn't record these. Mm-hmm. This was just to be shitty. Mm-hmm. They said he would also buy people big presents, but purposely buy them presents too big to fit in their house just to watch them struggle with it. He would invite people over for dinner parties, and he would get custom-made seat cushions where he would put a whoopee cushion inside of the cushion. So then a fancy dinner guest comes in, sits down, makes a fart noise, and then for the rest of the dinner conversation, he would just shame them and make fun of them for farting at the dinner table. Like, it's almost just weird mind games.
What the fuck? My soul could not handle that.
Yeah, he seemed pretty awful. Obviously, him as a filmmaker is very problematic and bad.
Yeah.
Like in the movie The Birds.
Yeah.
Threw live birds on her and she got scratched up really bad.
Oh my God. I didn't know any of this. I don't know much about him.
He kind of controlled everything about her. I mean, I don't want to make this my trivia thing because I don't know enough about it to feel like I know a lot about it.
Yeah.
But he would make sure that he bought where she lived and he kept an eye on where she lived. And he was still married, but he just wouldn't let this woman do anything. He had a quote about how we need to put the fear back in women for movies or something like that.
Oh, good God.
It's really weird.
Wow.
Like I said, the prank thing I 100% know I'm right on, but the other stuff I do know it, but it's like I don't sound smart enough talking about it. But he did some very questionable and bad things to get good reactions out of his female actresses.
Holy hell. Whew.
Messed up.
Well, that is insane. Wow. Well,
hardly even a prank.
Yeah, seriously. I could not be in that friend group. I just really couldn't handle that. No. So, before we get into stories, maybe we'll give you an ad.
Maybe two. Let's see. This episode is sponsored by ZocDoc. You've been stewing about a health problem you have. You almost resort to texting your group chat to get your friends' opinions. You're extremely unlikely to find quality medical advice in your group chat, but you can find it from a doctor on ZocDoc. Thousands of medical professionals on ZocDoc are there to help you. They listen like a friend and give you the expert care you need. ZocDoc is the only free app that lets you find and book doctors who are patient-reviewed, take your insurance, are available when you need them, and treat almost every condition under the sun. Surprise twists might work for podcasts, but maybe not for medical care. With ZocDoc, there are no alarms and no surprises. Choose from thousands of patient-reviewed doctors and specialists, browse doctor profiles, upload and verify your insurance information, and get the care you need. Go to ZocDoc.com/larceny and download the ZocDoc app for free. Then find and book a top-rated doctor today. Many are available within 24 hours. That's ZocDoc.com, ZocDoc.com/larceny.
And we are back. So I have a story to tell you all from, you guessed it, the news again this week.
Oh, yeah.
To be so honest, I really don't know how I stumbled upon this one, but it had it all. And I think that's really all I'm going to say.
Ooh, I like the sound of a buffet crime.
And here we go. We've all had a dream. A completely outrageous and seemingly unattainable dream. One that keeps us up at night as we envision our fantasy life goals in our minds. Maybe that dream for you is to become an instant millionaire, causing you to fantasize about quitting your job in an overly dramatic and aggressive manner.
Now that I'm rich, I can finally do this.
Maybe you desperately dream about becoming a famous singer. The only thing holding you back is your stage fright and tone deafness. Even more far-fetched, maybe your dream is to have your family's unconditional love. But let's get real. We all know that's never going to happen. Today's petty crime follows a young lady who also had a big dream. And the criminal road it led her down. Megan Holmes was her father's daughter. They were like two peas in a pod. But growing up, Megan quickly realized her father was nothing like her classmates' dads. He was a professional wrestler for a living.
Oh my God, he's done it again!
Well, an aspiring professional at least.
What the fuck? Leave me alone. Quit trying to wrestle me.
His wrestler's name was Mr. Meanie Man, and his reputation for being tough and mean had traveled throughout town.
Oh shit, it's Mr. Meanie Man.
Over time, Mr. Meanie Man became a local wrestling celebrity of sorts. He wore tight red spandex briefs with angry eyes all over them, and was known best for his super mean moves in the ring. There was the heartless hold, the callous choke slam, and the forever frightening super dick kick. Megan looked up to him and couldn't wait until she could wrestle in a real ring. As she grew up, Megan and her dad would train regularly to become professional wrestlers. They would race through homemade obstacle courses in their backyard, practice fake fighting noises, and go over how to safely break a table with your body. But after the years passed, Mr. Meanie Man retired, and at the age of 25, Megan still had not fulfilled her wrestling dreams and upheld her family's legacy. Slowly, Megan began to train less and switched out her super kicks for narcotics. So when Megan woke up on a warm summer day in 2019, she started it off like normal. She got super high and ate a nice breakfast. She then began to wallow in self-pity as she looked at old photographs of her almost professional wrestling father. She couldn't help but feel jealous that he even made it as far as he did. She deserved to wear the red spandex. She deserved the glory. It was at that moment that Megan stood up, full of energy and motivation. She wasn't sure if this feeling had come from the drugs or because she had a miracle epiphany, but she needed to follow her dreams. She was going to prove to her father and the world that she hadn't given up on becoming a professional wrestler. She needed to get to her dad's house now. But as soon as she made it outside to the bright afternoon sunlight, she realized that she was far too high to drive, or even to find her keys for that matter. Yet, as she turned her head to the side, an available vehicle came into sight. The truck had a glimmering silver paint job with large tires and a sunroof. It was perfect. And it also just so happened to be a silver Power Wheels truck for kids. Megan couldn't recall if her neighbors owned this toy vehicle or if one of her nieces had left it in her yard. But here it was, ready and available. She squeezed into the small motorized truck toy, starting up the ignition, and adjusted the plastic rearview mirror. Megan hit the gas, causing the truck to jerk forward. Thus began her speedy journey down the street, maxing out at 5 miles per hour. But Megan never made it to her intended destination. In June of 2019, the Walhalla, South Carolina police station received a phone call reporting a suspicious person driving down the road. 25-year-old Megan Holman was pulled over by police while cruising in a silver Power Wheels truck for kids. After speaking with Megan, it was determined that she was under the influence of a narcotic of some kind and was arrested. When she was asked about what she was doing, she was quoted in saying that she wanted to be a professional wrestler like her father, and this was how to do it. Although Megan was charged with public intoxication, she was unable to be charged with a DUI. This was due to the fact that she was behind the wheel of a toy and not a vehicle. Megan was released from jail the same day as her arrest on a personal recognizance bond. Regardless of how outrageous your dreams may be, they are what makes life worth living. They spark a hope within your soul and light a fire right under your ass. And although I'm also a fellow big dreamer myself, I leave you all with some wisdom. Follow your dreams with all your heart, but maybe don't follow them to jail.
That is a fun story.
Was it now?
I thought she would get the DUI. I can't remember what the rule is, and I'm sure it's different in every state. If it has to do with like the engine CCs, because I think it's still a motorized vehicle.
Right.
I mean, you can get a DUI on a horse.
You can get a DUI on a horse. Can't you get one on a lawnmower?
Mm-hmm.
And those don't go very fast either.
But
so
those I don't get that because a lawnmower has a motor.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that those little power wheels run off are just those weird batteries that, you know.
Okay, maybe that's the difference.
Because a horse can go faster than that, easy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. She did not get charged with a DUI. I'm kind of trying to do the whole thing at the end where I at least wrap up all the truths at the end. So we have like a collective thing where I don't have to continuously go back and explain like, oh, this was true, this wasn't. I mean, everything at the end of that was so true. I obviously don't know her whole father's backstory, but that was an exact quote that she said. That was the reason why she was on this toy car totally high on drugs. Was she said it was the only way to become a professional wrestler like her dad. So yeah, I just had some fun with the beginning of that one. And like I told Trevin in the middle of telling my story, I actually had to research professional wrestling moves and names.
Ah, the super dick kick. Everyone knows this.
I kind of just added a funny little flair to everything. Mm-hmm. But yeah, because were you into professional wrestling at one time?
When I was a young kid.
Like when you were a young kid. That's what I thought.
I think there was a story I mentioned about how my dad took me to go see WCW.
Yeah. So I was like, oh God, of course I want to do this story. I was like, I gotta at least have some basic knowledge here.
So I'm calling you out, and I don't know if you did this on purpose.
What?
This is a bingo episode for you.
What do you mean?
All three of your segments aligned. Your intro is about dreams on a dream board.
Uh-huh.
Your Two Truths and a Lie was about sleep. And now you're talking about dreams as the theme around your story. That's all three sleep stuff. Bingo.
You know what that tells me is I need to get more sleep.
You didn't even know you were doing it.
Because I did not do that intentionally at all. Wow. I must have had sleep on the brain over these past few weeks, which honestly I definitely have. But yes. Bingo is his name-o.
Yeah, I don't know if we've ever done that, especially on accident.
Yeah,
I usually get 2 out of 3, but not the full bingo.
Yeah, dang.
Wow, that would be funny if she actually had nothing to do with wrestling in her past at all. And that's just what she told the cops.
Honest to God. And a lot of the articles specifically said there was no information given about her father, who he is, if he was even a wrestler. Because I was like, come on, we live for a good backstory and we just never get them. So yeah, that's kind of really the only thing I could think to tie it all together.
Yeah, I mean, it gave you an easy jumping off point.
Yeah. So I guess we've all learned something that if you're under the influence, maybe just take a drive on a toy instead of a car so you can't get in too much trouble.
Yeah, but I would also check with your state's rules first.
Okay, don't listen to anything I just said because honestly, that is going to attract a lot of attention to you. And she did get charged with public intoxication regardless.
Right.
So don't do it.
Dang, if it was me, I would have just watched her do it. Like, who would even tell on somebody doing that?
Dude, someone was sitting in their house and they were like, there's a lady driving in a kid's truck and I hate it.
It's probably just like my neighbor over here.
Oh, yeah. They probably had a neighborhood little self-appointed monitor that was like, oh, something isn't right. I mean, what harm could she possibly have been doing, really?
I know. If I stepped out on my front porch right now and saw somebody riding a Power Wheels thing down the road, I would just be like, hey, hell yeah, brother. Like, you get going. I would have cheered him on.
I know.
Or at least just TikToked it. But Either way, I wouldn't have told on them.
I know. That's a really good point, actually. I
Yeah.
wonder. I never even thought about the person behind that call, but
The tattletale should go to jail.
I agree. So, Trevin, do you also have a story for me today?
Oh, I've got a story.
Okay.
And this is the first time I think this has ever been done. I mean, sometimes we learn things from stories.
Mm-hmm.
But my entire story is a killer fact.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought this would be a really funny killer fact. And then I thought, but this could also just be a full-on story.
Ooh.
I'm very excited to tell this one, and it's going to be really fun. If you aren't familiar with this story, but are very familiar with what it's around, you'll be like, wow, how did I never know this? This is cool.
Okay.
So I'm just going to tell it, and we're going to have a conversation afterwards. And here we go. Reaching milestones is one of the greatest feelings we can encounter. Maybe you worked nonstop on a podcast that you put your heart and soul into, or just simply made it a certain amount of years without dying.
This guy just keeps on living.
Whatever the accomplishment, we have socially acceptable times that we find more noteworthy than others. Your family may be more willing to go all out for your 30th birthday than they would your 24th. And no one acknowledges a third pregnancy quite like they did the first.
Yeah, congratulations. Just hand down my last gift to this one.
We all have our own set of personal milestones, but society may not see it exactly the same way as we do. But with most people, reaching a milestone usually leads to one thing: a celebration. Celebrations can be big or small. They can be shared amongst many people or can simply be observed solo. Everyone celebrates milestones differently. One person may reach their fitness goals just to celebrate by posting a before and after photo on their social medias, explaining how proud of themselves they are.
I would love to thank society for bullying me into change.
While a more obnoxious individual may secretly be giving their friends the cold shoulder because nobody recognized their birthday month.
Just let it go to voicemail. I hate her now.
No matter how you choose to do it, celebrations can usually take some kind of planning and thought. This being our 100th episode, I choose to make this an extra special story. In getting married later in the year, I thought I'd celebrate by seeing how much debt I can rack up.
Take it all. I'm in love.
The general belief is that we want the celebration to be as wondrous and memorable as the milestone earned. This can bring us many different forms of celebrating. A 10-year-old may get a special birthday party where they rent out a laser tag place. A 20th anniversary may lead to a romantic cruise. And 5 years working for the same corporate entity will lead to even more hollow promises and being treated like a soulless piece of cattle. Sorry, I just had to throw that one jab in there. Besides social anxiety and the fear of being the center of attention, there is one very sinister side of a celebration. Once the milestone has been reached and the fun has begun, the collective group's guard is down. After all, the work has been done. This is everyone's chance to let loose and reap the benefits of their labor.
I earned this.
But this can leave the door open for a nefarious deed or dark force to sneak its way in and wreak havoc on those unsuspecting pleasure seekers. Today, I will tell you a tale about a celebration for some very important people. People that are so celebrated, you may even call them celebrities. Defenses are down, drinks are high, and troubles afoot. So let's roll out the red carpet and take a trip to the pettiest side of Hollywood. "3 years I've thought of nothing except Titanic, but I never got it. I never let it in." "Cut!" James Cameron yelled as he pulled his face back from behind his camera with tears streaming down his cheek. "I'm going to win Best Picture for this," he said to himself, while wiping his face with his sleeve. "Come on, everybody. Let's take lunch." The lunch horn blared as the large spotlights flipped on, illuminating the Nova Scotia set. What was just a moody boat scene, fit for an emotionally quotable line, had instantly turned into a brightly lit stage of perpetual motion. The set operated like a well-oiled machine, but instead of cogs and solenoids spinning, this location ran on people. Metaphorically walking on eggshells, these workers move quickly and precisely,
Excuse me.
as only to attract positive attention from the large Hollywood execs nearby. To the untrained eye, this scene may come off as chaotic, but each person's role and place was perfectly rehearsed, choreographed in a sense. The year was 1996, and the crew for the upcoming film Titanic was halfway through their final day of shooting its present-day scenes. It was a long stretch of Bill Paxton talking to submarine operators and recording Old Lady Rose narrating her sexcapades from 1912.
And then he went downtown, if you know what I mean.
Once this day was over, director James Cameron was to jump on a plane and head to Mexico, where he would be recording the ship's destruction on a giant soundstage. But first, lunch. As this was a night shoot, lunch was a bit of a loose term, for the lunch break was technically had around midnight. But whatever you choose to call it, this was a very special lunch. This was the last meal on the last day of shooting in this particular location. A cause for celebration. James walked into the dining area, where silver platters catered from a local vendor sat. He watched as happy crew members waited in line to fill their bowls with a fancy chowder. It brought a warm feeling to him, seeing so many people getting along, all around the making of what would be his masterpiece. To stay humble with his crew, James waited in line and got himself a bowl of the catered chowder before sitting down. Throughout the enjoyment of his meal, he couldn't shake this feeling of excitement and wonder he was feeling for the moment. He had to make a toast. Standing up while tapping his wine glass with a butter knife, he got everyone's attention. Attention, everyone! I just wanted to thank you all for sharing the experience of making Titanic with me. When I was just a young man, shooting scenes of a completely naked Arnold Schwarzenegger for the Terminator movies, I never thought, in my wildest dreams, that I'd get the chance to one day make a love story that takes place on a boat. I can't wait to release this movie, crush the box office, and give many young boys their first boner when they see the drawing scene. Cheers. The crowd in the dining hall stood and cheered as James gave a kind nod and sat back down. The longer James ate his meal and conversed with his friend Caleb, the more he started to feel a little funny. His face began to feel flushed as the lunch bell went off, signaling that it was time to get back on set. James excused himself and told Caleb he would meet him back behind the camera. Walking to the nearby restroom, his feelings of weirdness graduated to downright nausea. By the time he got past the door, he slammed into the nearest stall and puked. That chowder must have contained a paralytic shellfish neurotoxin, James said to himself, a very common first reaction to have after throwing up chowder. After flushing the toilet, James went to the sink and straightened himself up. All he had to do was finish this last half of the day, and then he was off to Mexico. He made his way down the hall and out to the set. But as he walked up to the monitors and cameras, he stumbled upon a troubling scene. It was nothing. The set was exactly how he and the crew left it when they went to lunch. Not one worker was back to their places for the next scene. James sat in an eerie quietness and waited until he eventually gave up to go look for his missing crew. The more James walked down the empty halls, the more he started to get anxious. What if they all quit and didn't want to make his movie? What if this was the Twilight Zone and they all disappeared? Thoughts of this nature raced through his mind as he picked up speed during the search. As James busted through the door to the dining hall, he could not believe the war zone before him. The entire crew was still there, but they were whipped into a mad frenzy. Some people were huddled into the corner of the room, puking on the floor, while others pointed and laughed at the ones puking. There were sound guys crying uncontrollably in each other's arms, and seemingly normal people running around, trying to help.
What's wrong with you people?
It was around this time that James's feelings of anxiety began to spike even more, as he realized that he too was feeling unnatural. with intrusive thoughts of possibly being abducted by aliens. He looked to his lead actor, Bill Paxton, for help.
Hey man, I'm feeling fucking wild, man. I just want to jump up and shout at the damn moon. But when I think about the moon, I think about how it's made of cheese, and it makes me sad that I'll never get to have a grilled cheese made out of the moon cheese, man. Fuck, I'm horny.
Bill yelled directly into James's face. James was now trying to push aside his own intrusive thoughts and process the crazy talk that Bill just said. Not knowing what would come out, James decided to open his mouth and speak.
I really want to make a movie that's similar to Pocahontas, but make it about blue people and give it the same name as an already established children's show, so people will get confused about which franchise others are talking about when it's brought up in casual conversation.
Astounded at the word vomit he just spewed, James stood in shock while Bill stared at him blankly.
That sounds like a terrible idea, man. You must be high as hell.
Bill finally replied, just before his mood changed to a crying fit. It was around this time that the remaining calm crew members came around and began herding the others into vehicles.
Let's get them to the hospital,
one said to the others.
This is the strangest form of food poisoning I've ever seen. They're all in shock.
Once to the emergency room, the hospital staff broke the crew into small groups and put each group in their own cubicle, separated by curtains. Unfortunately for the nurses on duty, the curtain stood no chance against this chaotic crew. As the nurses attempted to get each person's individual information, crew members would stand on the bed or jump through one set of curtains into the other group's cubicle. Certain members would play peekaboo with the others, and of course, there was another group in the corner puking. James was one of the out-of-control people at this point. He felt scared for his life, but also the most entertained he'd ever felt. At one point, crew member Marty got James's attention,
Hey, James!
right before stabbing him in the face with one of the doctor's pens. Completely numb to the pain and still entertained, James touched his blood-soaked face, saw the blood on his hands, and began to laugh maniacally. The entire ER had devolved into a daycare for full-grown adult children. The nursing staff was able to get a couple of crew members to cooperate, however, but this came at the expense of losing track of some of the more rambunctious crew members. By the time the doctors had gotten a couple of good samples to test, some members of the crew had hijacked wheelchairs, racing them through the hospital halls,
Get back here, you bastard!
while another large group was participating in a multi-person conga line, led by the movie's cinematographer. From that point, it was a race against the clock to see what the results would find. The trained medical staff took on the duty of becoming babysitters for A-list adults, and the film crew continued wreaking havoc until police were called in for backup. It wasn't until the following afternoon that toxicology reports came back, and the crew began to settle down. On the few samples that the hospital was able to get from the disorderly production team, every single one of them popped positive for PCP. On August 8th, 1996, the last day of shooting the present-day scenes for the film Titanic, someone spiked the lunchtime chowder with PCP. Of the around 60 people affected, some notable crew members were director James Cameron, cinematographer Caleb Deschanel, and star Bill Paxton. Not long after ingesting the chowder, many members began to have varied reactions, including strong fits of anxiety, excessive puking, and uncontrollable laughter. This carried into their stay at the hospital, where members raced around the hospital in wheelchairs, formed a giant conga line, and James Cameron even got stabbed in the face with a pen. After the toxicology report showed the crew positive for PCP, the chowder was then tested and found to be the culprit. For the next 3 years, police investigated the matter until eventually closing the case due to lack of suspects. James Cameron stated in interviews that he believed it was retaliation from a crew member that got fired and was trying to make the caterers look bad, while the catering company's CEO insists that it was just a Hollywood type trying to have a party. Whatever the reason, malicious or just to have a good time, no person ever faced justice for this celebratory lunch gone wrong. As for James Cameron and Titanic, we all know how that went. Titanic went on to win Best Picture and ended up being the highest grossing movie of the current time. So maybe it was easy for him and the crew to sweep one bad night of PCP chowder under the rug. I know I say it a lot. We've been on a journey. But boy, oh boy, did we really take a trip this time. It's not every episode that we get to tell a fun story deep in the heart of Hollywood lore, but I'm glad I got to do this for episode 100. So let me leave you with some knowledge about celebrations. Always celebrate responsibly. And if you ever find yourself unwittingly high off of PCP chowder, just ride the waves, baby. Spread your arms, feel the breeze, and yell, "Jack, I'm flying!"
Whoa! I have never heard that story before.
Isn't that nutty?
Had you heard that before?
I had came across it around October of this last year. It was like the 20th anniversary of Titanic, and I had saw it kind of mentioned, and I was like, I gotta know more about this.
Yeah!
And so it was gonna be just a killer fact, but then I thought, it's petty as hell.
Whew! Oh my God. First of all, I am so excited we finally have our first celebrity, like, petty crime story. I've thought about doing a couple of them, like when Britney Spears got married and her ex tried to crash the wedding. I thought about doing something with that, but I chickened out, and I'm really glad that you did this.
Yeah, it's not just a celebrity story, it's around the making of a movie.
Yes. So, holy shit, though, PCP.
Yeah, that's nuts.
A lot of episodes back, I did the whole wedding where the woman laced her guest with marijuana. And we talked about, even though we are like very pro marijuana, it's still not cool to lace someone unknowingly with any sort of substance. And then to go as far as it being PC freaking P. That's no joke.
I can't even imagine. That's some scary hardcore stuff, and then just to be surprised by it. Ooh-wee.
Oh my God. I know, as soon as you said he got stabbed in the face with a pin, I was like, okay, there's something really powerful in their system.
Yeah. In one of the interviews, he had said, the guy was like, "Hey, James," and just went stick right in his face. And he was like, ha, 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 like just like laughing at it. But James Cameron thought that it was a guy who, I guess he was fucking around and joking around with the caterers. And so they're like, "Hey, dude, you're not doing a very good job of working for us. You're fired." And so they think that he might have snuck up blaming the caterers for kind of playing around with him and getting the attention that got him fired. So James Cameron was like, if that was his intention, it worked, because we did fire the caterers the next day.
Wow.
There was even a joke that James Cameron said, like, he jokes that his wife did it because she was on set and she's a producer and she didn't have the chowder that day. And then there was also a joke that the old lady Rose,
I was going to ask, did she eat the chowder?
she actually left that day to go eat somewhere else. And so he said it makes her a suspect, or somebody had said they thought she was a suspect.
Thank God it did not affect little Rose.
Yes.
Are you kidding me? It could have gone a bunch of different ways, but I'm just glad it didn't even have to go there.
Yes, I agree.
Wow. I wonder if Jack and Rose, if they were like...
Well, they weren't there.
If they were like jealous.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, dang it, wish I could have been on the chowder ride.
When I was telling Emily about it, it's like, oh, it's the Titanic, but it's just when they were doing the scenes with Bill
Right.
Paxton. So like none of the actors from Titanic were there.
I'm picturing Bill Paxton on PCP, and it would be a lot.
Well, they said he was riding it pretty well. They said by the end of the night, he was just smoking a joint, like at the hospital. He was just like, I'll keep riding this out. So, like, I mean, the quotes I gave them were just, well, the first was just to give away the manic side of being on PCP. And the second one was just a funny joke about James Cameron. But
Yeah. That was so good.
they said that he was probably the chillest one, because they said at the time, that was when Bill Paxton was kind of going through his partying time. So he was just like, hell yeah, man.
Wow. I am just shocked that there was never anyone officially caught, though.
Yeah, police looked into it for 3 years and then just gave up.
And both parties are blaming each other. They're saying it's the caterers. They're saying it's the actors trying to have fun, which I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of different directions they could go. It probably was the angry guy who got fired the day before, but
not just anyone has PCP on their hands, too. That's something to think about.
that's true. That's no joke.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I've never heard this before.
Yeah, isn't that a crazy story? And I had to keep fact checking it because I thought there's no way that But yeah, it's
real.
It's real, and yeah, there's plenty of articles about it.
Damn. That's a lot to take in. There's so much about it. My main question for you was, did the old lady eat the chowder? So I'm glad I know that now.
Yeah, she was safe.
Man. Well, great writing as usual.
Thank you.
I could tell you had fun with that.
That was my thing, is I wanted to theme my killer fact of the Hollywood facts with Hitchcock to Hollywood stuff with Titanic, but I didn't go full on bingo like you.
I just did it, and not even knowingly.
Nice.
So that's what I'm here for. Wow. Well, connections both definitely had to do with people tripping on some drugs, on some hard drugs. I think that's the clear connection for me. Did you think of anything else? Anything better than that?
Not really. That was kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, this is just a full-on drugged out episode, and I think it'll be a good one.
I think so too.
Well, everyone out there listening, I hope you have an amazing week. And just remember, no matter the crime, big or small, in the end, we're all doomed.
Doomed to join a hospital conga line.
Dun, 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 dun. Bye.
See ya.
I hope you all have gotten some excellent sleep recently. And also, thanks for listening to our show.
And if you have a PCP chowder recipe, please share it with us on social media. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Live, Laugh, Larceny.
And if you have ever rode on a children's toy while intoxicated, send us your petty crime story. livelaughlarceny@gmail.com.
And you would all be helping Amanda complete her vision board dreams if you could help us celebrate this 100th episode with some 5-star reviews. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Good Pods.
On a personal recognizance. Jesus fucking Christ. On a personal recognizance bond. Was that right?
I think it was right. I think I can splice that closer if I need to. Bond.
Oh my God, James Bond.
Recognizance bond.
Recognizance. On a personal recognizance. Is this really this hard of a word?
It's a tricky one.
Recognizance. On a personal recognizance bond.
It's a little slow, but...
I'm dying. Oh my God. How am I going to make it through?